The men who started fighting for position, Mark Antony, Cleopatra believed that Mark Antony would win. In the meantime, Mark Antony was opposed by Octavia. Now, we know of Octavius Caesar Augustus. I think there should be an end in there. Anyway, Cleopatra believed Mark Antony would win. She left Rome. She had a son named Caesarion by Julius Caesar, who was supposed to be the next emperor. Octavian was an adopted son of Julius Caesar, but fully grown, unlike the young Caesarion. But anyway, Cleopatra fled to Egypt. She got together in Egypt and got her army and joined forces with Mark Antony to try to defeat Octavian. In a battle, Octavian was the winner. Mark Antony was lost. When Cleopatra saw that her husband had lost, she committed suicide by letting a poisonous snake bite her. Which it was believed that a poisonous snake, when it killed you, would make you into a god. It's a painful way to die, though. Even though it's fairly quick. But she let a poisonous snake bite her, and Mark Antony committed suicide also. Cleopatra had tried to get the attention of Octavian. Octavian ignored her. The Roman armies under Octavian looked on her as being a whore. Octavian didn't think much more highly of her than that. And he refused her advances. So all this led to her deciding to end it all. So Octavian, now known as Caesar Augustus, had Egypt, much of the eastern Mediterranean. In fact, at this point, he had all the Mediterranean world. All right. With the death of Caesar Augustus, we really have the beginning of the Roman Empire. Now, Caesar Augustus wanted to be equal to Julius Caesar, so Julius Caesar named a month after himself. The month of July is named after Julius Caesar. Caesar Augustus named the month of August after himself, August. So, to make sure that his month was equal in length to Julius Caesar's month, he chopped another day off of the unlucky month of February. February is looked on as being unlucky. So he chopped an unlucky day off the month of February to make his month as long as the other one. Before that, the month of August had been 30 days. So he made August 31 days. And then, when leap years were added later, they added the leap year to February because it was already so short. And even with leap year, February is the shortest month. Now, don't ask me why February is the shortest month. A lot of bad events in world history have happened in August, including the dropping of the atomic bombs on Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Elvis Presley died in August. Anyway, leaving that. Anyway, August is now sometimes looked on as an unlikely month, and August is the opposite from February. I mean, there's 6-month opposites. February is 6 months from August. August is half a year from February. All right. Caesar Augustus was to rule for 45 years. When I was a kid, I did a report on Caesar Augustus, and I remember looking at the World Book, and it said he reigned for 45 bright years. I guess you'd call it bright years. Several things happened during his time. Now, the first one I'll mention, during his reign, Jesus was born. And in fact, his name is mentioned once in the New Testament, the Christmas story. There went out a decree from Caesar Augustus. But during his reign, again, Jesus was born. During his reign, the Roman Empire actually got started. Now Caesar Augustus was really, really careful that the same thing wouldn't happen to him as it happened to Julius Caesar. So he set up a new bunch of soldiers called the Praetorian Guard. And this Praetorian Guard were his personal bodyguards, somewhat like our Secret Service. And they followed him even into the Senate chamber to make sure that he would have some armed bodyguards to protect him even in the Senate chamber. I don't know if they started feeling around all the senators to make sure that none of them had daggers under their cloaks or not, but essentially the senators knew that if they tried anything, they would have to face the highly trained, highly skilled Praetorian Guard. So he was able to survive and die a natural death. He called himself Princeps, from which we get our word prince, which means first among equals. First among equals. In other words, he would sit in the Senate chamber as one of the equals, or as one of the peers, you might call him. He tried to convince the people that, hey, your republic is not over. Just because I'm the head of it doesn't mean that we still have a Senate. He allowed the Senate to convene, and I still sit in the Senate, and I sit there and discuss matters just like everyone else. But in actual reality, what Rome now had was what they had vowed they would never have. They had a hereditary monarchy, because he had been the adopted son of Julius Caesar. When he died, his adopted son took over. And then after a while, they got to where they would hardly even put adopted sons up, but they actually put real sons up. The Roman rule became a rule by a family, and it was to remain so for the next 500 years. Even though there wasn't just one family for 500 years. I mean, there were many, many and numerous families. And most of them only lasted one generation. But anyway, this was the beginning of the Roman Empire, and for all practical purposes, the Roman Republic was dead. Now again, I wonder if you could go into a future history book, maybe if you could go 500 years in the future and read a history book of America, and the history books say the United States ceased to exist in 2008. Oh, well, it's 2014 and we're still here in the United States. No, the United States ceased to exist in 2008 with a big economic downturn and a dictatorship. I didn't know a dictator, right? But even worse, the United States actually ceased to exist with the election of Franklin Roosevelt in 1932. And we don't know that we don't exist anymore. Basically, that's the way it was in Rome. If you had visited Rome, they would say, hey, our republic is still going on. You don't know, is it? You have a dictator, you're going to have a dictator from now on for the next as long as Rome lasts. And same way when the Roman Empire actually fell, if you could visit Rome in 477 and tell them, hey, your empire ended last year. The history books say your empire ended in 477. What? We still have an empire. It's still here. No, you don't. It died last year, at least according to our history books. The death of the republic was so gradual that nobody really noticed it had died. Same way with the death of the empire. It was so gradual that when it finally died, nobody realized it was dead. Will the same thing happen to us? Time will tell. Caesar Augustus again claimed he had restored the republic. He began appointing the governors, more so than, he let the Senate appoint a few of the governors, but more and more he appointed the governors, including he appointed Herod to be king of the land of the Jews, Judea, and later that his successor was to appoint Pilate, Pontius Pilate. But he was appointing the heads of the provinces, more so than the Caesars before him.